guys, it's the last day of 2021, the last day, y'all. Merry New Year's Eve to each and every one of you guys, and I am so crazed to know that it is seriously the last day of 2021. It felt like 2021 started yesterday, so here we are, man. It's been a rough year, and I'm sure some of you can relate, but hey, there were some great movies that came out of it that I want to talk about, guys, and I've got my top 10 right up in the noggin, y'all. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. This is Geekly Goods, where we talk the latest in movies, TV, with a little sprinkle of anime in there as well. Hit that big red subscribe button down below if you enjoy these kind of content, and let's talk about my top 10 favorite movies of 2021. Starting out with number 10, guys, we're gonna just go right out of the gate and get to number 10. Starting out with In the Heights, you guys. Look, Lin-Manuel Miranda had a year, didn't he? Vivo, In the Heights, Tick Tick Boom. I mean, our guy, Encanto. Our guy has been all over the place, but none of those works, in my opinion, tops In the Heights. It was raw, very story and character driven. I loved the characters. I loved the music. I mean, I was listening to the music weeks after the movie came out because I loved it so much, you guys. It was full of so much heart, and the set was so colorful. The dance numbers were huge. While the story wasn't the most deep or the most impactful, I did just love the music, the dance numbers, and the numbers were just so incredible. And the story was small enough to rock along with the songs, and you could still get a small story on the side. So I loved it. I love the sing rap style that Lin-Manuel Miranda incorporates in a lot of his movies. Very, very well done, guys. Huge fan of In the Heights. I've seen it probably upwards of 10 times. My favorite musical of the year, and definitely a spot earned on my favorite list of 2021 movies, guys. So let's get moving to number 9. And number 9, a little shocker because it was like in my top 5, but it just kind of got toppled over the more I thought about it. And that's The Green Knight. I think what I love so much about this movie is that it doesn't give itself away, so you have to interpret it your own way, and you have to really unfold this chivalrous quest that the knight ends up failing. Or I'm sorry, not even the knight, our main character here ends up failing. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought that it was shot so beautifully and so incredibly, and I can understand that the story was like so out there that it could be disconnected for some. For me, I loved it. I loved getting to interpret and having to figure out like what was going on and different trials that he had to go through. It was really cool, and I really love Dev Patel. I want to see him in so many more movies, and I just thought that this was written well. The story was really crazy and could have been a little hard to follow, but I liked that. I liked being breadcrumbed to something that you could interpret yourself. So definitely love The Green Knight for all those reasons, guys. There's so many more, but let's get moving on to number 8. And 8 is Coda. Wow, what an emotional powerhouse this movie was. One woman who could talk and whose family she had to communicate sign language with because they're all deaf. Guys, what a heartwarming, pleasurous, amazing movie, full of just emotional, sad but heavy, happy moments as well, just all over the spectrum. It's a beautiful movie and a well-told story. I loved the lead actress. She did such a great job in her role. I loved the singing, I loved the journey, and I liked that there was this correlation between her stepping out of her shell to sing and them allowing her to step out and become somebody that she wants to be, y'all. I loved this movie, guys. Coda, Apple TV Plus, seriously not getting nearly enough recognition that it deserves. Let's move on to another on the list, and this is my first Marvel movie on the list. That is Eternals, you guys. I loved Eternals. Look, I loved the cast. I loved the characters. I loved the different abilities. I loved the Eternals. But aside from some pacing issues, I honestly had no problems with the movie. I finished that movie and I could not figure out what issues I had with it. I loved it, guys. I loved the battling against the deviants. I liked the action. I liked that it was pretty minimal here because we could really capitalize on human stories and telling these stories and making these gods a human and bringing them down to a human level. I loved the storytelling of this and how deeply human and relatable it was for characters that are like supposed to be gods and these high, mighty beings. They really made it very beautiful and relatable all around. I thought Chloe Zhao's direction was amazing. Loved the cast, top to bottom. Great Marvel movie. I'm so glad to get it here on the list at number 7. Coming in at number 6, right above Eternals, just a skosh, is my one and only animated movie in this list, Raya and the Last Dragon. So I actually was riding high with Encanto, with Mitchell's versus the Machines from Recency Bias. I just recently watched both of those. I loved them, y'all. I had them as my 1 and my 2. Then I went back and rewatched Raya and the Last Dragon, which came out in March, and man, I sunk right back into the emotional love that I had for that movie, you guys. Seriously, the message of trusting others and really learning how to fall back on others and trust them. What a beautiful message that was for Kumandra, guys. I loved that movie. I thought it was colorful. Loved the score. Loved the voice acting. Kelly Marie Tran did a knockout job with Awkwafina. And I would love, honestly, to see a Raya and the Last Dragon 2. I know they're not as good. The sequels are never as good as the first. Well, I don't know. Frozen 2 is pretty good. But we could potentially get a second Raya and the Last Dragon. Maybe. I don't know. Since Kumandra happened, probably not. But I would love to see some more Raya and the Last Dragon. Really enjoyed it. I love the message. Love the animation, how beautiful and colorful it is. And Sisu and the dragons are so bold and beautifully colored. I love that movie, guys. Like Raya and the Last Dragon. Look, like I said, Encanto and Mitchell's had me reeled in up until I watched Raya one more time, and it was just enough to solidify that it is my favorite animated movie of 2021. Guys, we are halfway through here. We are at the number 5 spot, and let's take a guess at what that could be. Number 5. Number 5. We got through Raya. We got through quite a few. Number 5 definitely has to go to Last Night in Soho, you guys. I loved this movie. Last Night in Soho was one of my top anticipated movies for most of the year. Honestly, when I came in this year and heard about the project, I was very interested from the jump, and now that we got the finished product, I loved it. Anya Taylor-Joy, Thomasin McKenzie, absolutely incredible acting roles. I loved the music and the soundtrack and score in this, the fashion, but I also really like the mystery element, and I know that there are criticisms about the last act and how it gets kind of messy, but to be honest with you, I kind of like that. I kind of like that it didn't go down this path that we could really actually interpret what was going on. I'll be real, I wouldn't have never guessed that ending. I did, however, guess that she was Sandy. So I don't want to go into that too far, but I did, however, when I saw Sandy and I saw that she was living with Mrs. Collins, I was like, I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, is Mrs. Collins Sandy? And it ended up being true. So not that predictable of an ending and not predictable execution whatsoever, but I was somehow able to solve the mystery before it was over. Still, all in all, a great movie. Some characters do get treated a little but I do really enjoy that movie a lot, and I love the music, the score. It's one of my favorites of the year. I love the color palette, these pinks and light blues and greens and reds. Love that, man. I just love that movie. I've watched it 5 times now, and I just have loved every watch. I can't wait to go back and watch it a 6th time. So number 5, Last Night in Soho. Number 4 is actually my most surprising movie of the year, one that I did not have on my radar at all, one that I just caught on a plane and actually ended up really loving so much that it came in my top 5 of the year. That's Shiva Baby, actually. I loved the urgency of this movie and just how anxiety-inducing this movie could be. Like, how it actually triggers those anxious emotions in you is just so expertly done. This one woman at Shiva with her ex and her current sugar daddy. Like, what a crazy situation, and an anxiety-inducing one that really gets the adrenaline pumping in that room when she's coming in across the ex and the sugar daddy. It's a lot, y'all. What a movie, though. I really love the script. Really funny. Great pacing. It's very short. I mean, I think it's under an hour and a half. So it's really short. It's basically in one setting. It's quick. It's easy. It's memorable. I really like this movie, and look, it's on HBO Max now. Definitely go check it out. I think it's getting no recognition. None that it deserves, guys. And it is one of my favorite movies of the year. So Shiva Baby comes in at number 4 in that top 5. Now we're down to the top 3, y'all. We got 3 left, and I'm going with my number 3, King Richard, guys. And I think part of what I love about King Richard is the experience. I got to watch it. So I actually got to watch it at DFF with my good friend Chili Boy Productions. What up, Larry? I got to watch it with him, and I loved the experience. I loved getting to sit in this audience full of other black critics who just loved and laughed and could relate to so many moments in this movie. I loved that experience, and I think that experience plus the movie wraps itself into number 3 for me. It's just a beautifully acted movie, and what's cool about this movie is that we do focus a little bit on King Richard, but the focus does not leave Venus and Serena, and it is pretty much telling Venus and Serena's story through Richard's eyes. And I love how dynamic and great Will Smith is. I mean, he's completely transformed for this character. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I think this might be my favorite of his to date. Like my favorite acting. Yeah, I think so. Favorite acting venture of his to date. Look, he's got some good ones under his belt, but Pursuit of Happiness, I'm sorry, you can't pass this one up for me. Loved it, man. I really enjoyed the young actresses. They look a lot like Venus and Serena, but they have the mannerisms as well. So very well done on their part. And Ingenue Harris is not getting the recognition that she deserves for Best Actress, guys, because she did an absolutely fantastic job in this movie. I mean, some scenes, she's literally cutting into Will's time. I'm like, wow, Ingenue is an expert. So very well acted, very well done by Ingenue and by Will Smith. Very, very well done, guys. King Richard, number 3. Now we're down to our top 2. And number 2, I've actually had this on my number 1 for most of the year. And it's like weird to count it because it was part of last Academy, but I'm going to count it anyway. And that's Judas and the Black Messiah. Look, man, not a lot to be said here. I thought the script was flawless, fantastic. I thought the acting was flawless and fantastic. The story of Fred Hammond, I think, is one that does need to be told a lot more, and I'm so glad that we have a movie representation now of that whole involvement. Crazy, crazy story. But Daniel Kaluuya, I'm glad he got Best Actor because nobody else came close to that type of performance. He was legendary as Fred Hammond, easily his best role. Should have been for Best Lead Actor. I mean, look, Lakeith, they put them both in supporting, which was weird, but man, incredible. Even Lakeith Stanfield, great job by him too. Really just a great movie, great script, amazing story. Well, not really amazing, but it's just such a tragic story to be told, and just all around a fantastic movie, top to bottom. I have no complaints with that one, and I have no complaints with my number 1 either. And I'm sure if you're not new to the channel, you'll know about my number 1 here. But my number 1 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Look, I never thought I would get to the point in my adulthood where 3 Spider-Man, 3 are all on screen together, all together. The Spider-Man from my childhood, the Spider-Man from my teenage years, the Spider-Man from my adulthood, all 3 together in one movie, guys. What an incredible movie. Look, you get the villains from the past movies. You get Tom Holland, who is easily at his best acting point in the MCU here. You get Aunt May, who is at her best acting point in the MCU here. Rest in peace, our angel. And seriously, the other villains, incredible, like they just stepped out of the last movie. So guys, Spider-Man No Way Home, easily my favorite. With great power, there must also come great responsibility, and that is such a shared message across all 3 Peter Parkers, and it's a blast and a absolute privilege to see them all on screen sharing those moments together. And not to mention, not only that, but with the new suit at the end. Oh man, that new suit is so cool, you guys. On top of that, so many more dynamic action scenes and just a great story beginning to end. But guys, let me know down in the comments your top 10 of 2021, because guys, this is the last day. This is it. After today, no more 2021. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below. We will see you next time on Geekly Goods.